Hello, everyone. In our study, The Forgotten Day in History, we saw that from Eden to Eden, the Sabbath stands. Yes, from creation to recreation, from earth to new earth, the Sabbath has always been kept by God's people. God did three things only on one particular day of the week, the seventh day, and He made it special. Genesis 2:3. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it He had rested from all His work which God created and made. He blessed it, He sanctified it, and He rested on it. This was done exclusively on the seventh day. On the other 6 days, God did something. On those days, He created something. But on the seventh day, God did something to the day itself, thus making that day special of the seven. Have you heard some people say any of the 7 days could be kept as a Sabbath? Some people feel because all the 7 days come from God, therefore all the 7 days are equal. Hence they feel the Sabbath can be kept on any one of these 7 as they choose. Let me tell you why that reasoning is not acceptable. Let me illustrate. A man wanted to get married, and someone introduced him to a family of 7 sisters. He liked the youngest girl and chose to get married to her in the church. He made a covenant in the presence of God and took the oath with the 7th one. Imagine he said 1 year later, any one of the 7 can be my wife because all 7 of them come from the same parents and all 7 are beautiful. Is it legally possible? No. If he does that, then he's committing adultery. In fact, God uses that very term adultery or whore for those who thus deal with His divine commandment. In Numbers 15:39 we read, remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart, after your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring. A whore is an adulteress. Think for a moment, in all the 10 commandments, which commandment starts with the word remember? Because here in Numbers, God is talking about remember. Only one. And that's the Sabbath commandment, the biggest of the 10. Exodus, we read in chapter 20 and verse 8, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. To change one day with another, and that to a sanctified day with an ordinary day, is like changing the true wife for another. And that is spiritual adultery in God's sight. Even from the secular point of view, we realize the important national holidays of a country which cannot be substituted for any other day. For example, can India celebrate its independence on any other day than the 15th of August? Can the United States celebrate its independence on any other day than July 4? Not possible. If a sovereign country's Independence Day cannot be substituted for any other day, then for sure this earth's Sabbath day cannot be substituted for any other day because the sovereign Lord gave it to us. To start with, God identified the Sabbath with Adam and Eve, our first parents. He created the Sabbath in their presence. They were made on the 6th day, and the very next day, God made the Sabbath. In my presentation, Adam didn't keep the first Sabbath. I've clearly shown that Adam and Eve participated in the first Sabbath of planet Earth along with God. The first gift that God gave the married couple was the gift of sacred time, the gift of the Sabbath. In fact, Adam and Eve didn't see God's creative activity during the 6 working days. Though Eve was made after Adam, he was not permitted to see her creation too. He was put to sleep. The only thing that Adam and Eve saw God creating was the Sabbath day, the temple of time. Isn't that interesting? They needed faith to believe that God created everything on planet Earth during the 6 days because they didn't see the creating act of God. But Adam and Eve did not need any faith at all to believe the Sabbath because they saw God making it and they were part of the first Sabbath experience. Remember, Adam lived 930 years, the Bible says, and he would have taught his generations the truth about God's creation and God's Sabbath. So the Sabbath was identified by Adam, the head of the human race, for nearly 1,000 years. And when God brought his chosen nation out of Egypt, the Sabbath was identified again, as God did three things on the seventh day at creation. God worked three miracles in the Exodus journey for 40 years to establish the identity of the Sabbath. The Bible tells us in Exodus 16:35, and the children of Israel did eat manna for 40 years. What are the three miracles that God performed every week for 40 years? Miracle number one, no manna fell on the seventh day. The Bible says in Exodus 16:26, 6 days he shall gather it, but on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. Every day God sent a certain portion for all of them to have that day. But on the sixth day, God sent double portion for the sixth and the seventh day. So that was a distinct miracle that manna did not come down on the seventh day. Miracle number two, the 6-day worms. The Bible says in Exodus 16:20, and some of them left it till the morning, and it bred worms and stank. God instructed not to keep the manna for the next day during the regular 6 days of the week, as he would provide fresh manna for each of those 6 days every morning. But people did not trust God that he would provide the next day, and they stored the manna only to find worms and stink in it. God used the stinking worms to teach them a lesson. Miracle number three, the Sabbath, no worms. The Bible says in Exodus 16:24, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moses said, eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field. God's special blessings was on the manna on Friday evening as the Sabbath began, and it remained fresh the whole Sabbath day. The worms had no power over the manna on the Sabbath. A miracle indeed, week after week for 40 years. The power of God on the manna not spoiling on the holy day was a demonstration what God would do to us if we trust and obey his holy commandment. As the manna had God's special blessings every Sabbath, God's people as well have a special blessings from the Lord on this day if we keep it holy. But some Israelites did not care for the Sabbath commandment. The Bible says in Exodus 16:27-28, and it came to pass that there went some of the people on the seventh day for to gather, and they found none. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? You know, sinful man always likes to refuse God's instructions, and it hurts God. And history always repeats itself, doesn't it? Beloved, for 40 years of the coming of the manna for 6 days, and the not coming of manna on the Sabbath, and the worms in the manna for 6 days overnight, and the fresh manna on the Sabbath day was a long enough training for the children of Israel to know which day of the 7 was the Sabbath day. None of the children of Israel ever concluded after these repeated miracles that any one of the 7 days can be the Sabbath. It was on one particular day of the week, the seventh day alone. In 1 year, there are 52 weeks and 52 Sabbaths as well. Therefore, 40 years, there were 2,080 Sabbaths. For 2,080 times, God identified the true Sabbath in the wilderness. And how can anyone forget when a lesson is taught them more than 2,000 times? With these 3 miracles of the Sabbath, God proved to them that the Sabbath is on one particular day of the week, the 7th, and not any one of the 7. In our next presentation, we will identify which day is the seventh day in today's calendar. Thank you and God bless.